do the best in off-year elections, and I think Americans are really freaking pissed. So given the fact that I'm going to be on with the Blue Amp guys at 2, which you are very welcome to join me for, I wanted to go live so I didn't miss this time period. But I'm having a little bit of a technical issue. So hopefully I'll be able to fix that. And hopefully, hey, Nick, I'm having technical difficulties, Nick, but I'm just trying on my phone right now because not even sure what else to do. And then I know you guys are here. Hopefully you're not dropping off while I try to figure out what the heck is going on and how I see. Here we go. All right. I'm in. I've got you. I've got the chat going. There's 20 of you. I want to talk about the election or anything else you want to talk about. Obviously, all of you, if you're here, you know the exciting news out of Virginia with Spamberger and the AG with Mikey in New Jersey and with Mamdani in New York and with the red flag laws in Maine and with the Virginia getting trifecta and overturning some red seats in Georgia that went by like 40 points for Trump. So I don't want a monologue here. I want to have a conversation as well as I can, given this format where you have to actually type in the chat. But so I'm here, and now that I'm old, I look like this when I'm trying to look closely. So I will try not to look up, so you don't have to look at my nose hairs. So I would love to hear from you what you want to talk about, or Nick, hey, if you want to come on, we can have a conversation with each other. No obligation. I know you're very busy today. So talk to me, folks. Otherwise, it's going to be a monologue, and I could rant for a while, but I'm not sure that that's. Apparently, the phone needs to be higher, says my husband, who is on the stream. All right, better. Okay, so what do I think about last night? I think that Democratic voters are pissed. And Democratic voters got the assignment, which is that we need to vote for a Democrat wherever they're on the ballot. Hakeem Jeffries tweeted today that Democrats are back. And I actually take issue with that. I think Democratic voters are where they need to be, and the Democratic Party is still trying to figure out what the hell it wants to be when it grows up, because it's certainly not paying attention to the grassroots. Nick is going to come on and join for a few so we can have a conversation, because nobody's asking any questions. So I am going to invite him on right now. Come on, nobody has anything to say? There's 29 of you. Okay, Josh, who I will not out as my husband. Interesting question. Can you articulate what you think the Democratic Party ought to be when it grows up? Hey, Nick.
Hey, hopefully everyone can hear me.
Yeah, I think they probably can, because I can see you. I don't know where.
I'm not in my normal spot, and I don't have my headphones, so it's a little different right now.
Well, it's also not coming through my headphones, so I'm taking my headphones out. Thank you for bailing me out because people came, but they didn't ask anything except for my darling husband who wants to know what the Democratic Party ought to be when it grows up. Um, so, I mean, I obviously have thoughts. I think they're doing a shit job right now, except where they were on the ballot and really listening to what the people need and
Yeah.
talking to them as authentic human beings as opposed to the Democratic leaders who are in Congress who are not doing that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the Democratic Party needs to become a more populist party, in some ways. But I really just think that the Democratic Party needs to get out of its own fucking way, and the leadership needs to shut up and listen to what everybody is actually saying, um, which is stop capitulating, stop giving an inch. Now is the time that we go on offense. Um, Last night was a statement by the Democratic voters and American people and pro democracy voters. Um, and last night needs to just be the first of many different things that happen. Um, like, I hope that the meeting that Jeffries and Schumer asked for with Trump is them demanding things for the American people, like maintaining the ACA benefits and not having our healthcare premiums triple, demanding that SNAP be fully funded and that the shutdown end. I
Right.
think now is the time that the Democrats can just show that they are coming back, because the Democratic voters, pro democracy voters, are here. We're
Right.
loud. We're wanting to be heard, but they have the choice to actually hear us or ignore us. And if they ignore us, then I think there's going to be a really big schism that happens in American politics. And the Democratic Party, along with the Republican Party, will fracture and break and die, um, which wouldn't be a bad thing, to be totally honest. But for the Democratic Party to grow up, they need to shut up and listen to voters and become more of a democratic socialist party, because that's really where people are at. People want socialism for us, not just the rich. They want support mechanisms for us. Um, and
I
I think
think
that's where
that's
they could
right.
go.
I think that's right. But I'm not sure that it needs, I mean, a lot of the countries that have good safety nets call themselves socialists, but it's the third rail in American politics. I think we just need to them to say, "Hey, we're here to listen to you and to support you and to fight for you," and that means making sure people have freedom of their own body and the ability to eat when they're hungry and the ability to get health care when they're sick, or even better, have health care when they're healthy so they get sick less often.
Yeah.
I'm curious about how much people's health care premiums are going up, because that's the whole what the Dems in Congress are holding out for, um, with this shutdown is to bring back or keep the subsidies that the government pays to allow people to afford their healthcare premiums.
Yeah.
And so far, they haven't caved. And if they cave now, I think they're going to face an uprising and a backlash.
Yeah, it's going to
Um,
be disastrous if Democrats cave now, especially because they just won. Like, the Democratic voters made a statement across the country and swept all of these elections and said, we want democracy and we want authentic people who will fight for that democracy and fight for us and our neighbors. Um, and yeah, I think it comes down to is we're hungry for fighters who are authentic, who represent the values we care about. Um,
right. And I think most of us share
yeah,
share the same values. And I think they've got all their donors whispering in their ears, but they're going to need to learn to shut that off and talk more like, dare I
People.
say, Gavin Newsom, and which I never really thought I'd say, and I still have reservations. But um, and Mamdani, and the people who are saying, "Hey, we're here, we share your values, um, and we're going to fight for them because you have shown us in every possible way that you want us to, and you have been very clear about what your values are. You've, every time there's a vote for poly autonomy, you vote for it. Every time there's a vote to strike back against the Republicans, like with Prop 50, you voted for it by 2-1.
Hmm.
Every time there's a chance to, I mean, Georgia flipped a district that was pro-Trump by 45 points.
Yeah.
I, it's insane and it's great, but you're right. It's the first step. Like if I just saw a conversation on Substack yesterday with the minority whip, Catherine Clark, who happens to be my own representative. And she was saying the things, where she went to a food bank and she talked to Teresa, who could barely feed her family. But like, it was it's so rehearsed, instead of like talking to us and saying, this is fucked up
Hmm.
and we will do what we can for you and not just tell random people stories. I, I think that they're just look like they're bobbing and weaving as opposed
Yeah.
to, standing up for us.
Yeah. It's about action. I think really what so many people are craving is action and ways that we feel like we're actually being represented and that we're actually the money that we're giving or the time and efforts that we're giving are meaningful. And I think one of the big things for me anyway, take away from all of this is the importance of new smart media campaigns like what Banner and Backbone is doing and the local coverage that we just did in DC of the new sit-in movement that's going on
Yeah, with
um,
Melissa.
with
So
Melissa Corrigan.
everybody follow Melissa Corrigan, follow Nick Perro, Banner and Backbone, and me, obviously.
And
Subscribe.
yeah, and one of the things that we noticed while Melissa was there was she was one of the first people reporting.
Yeah.
Like there were very few reporters there. She saw a local reporting, like a local newspaper that was setting up. Um, she saw Reuters and AP, and that was about it. And Banner and Backbone was there because Melissa was representing with Counterstory Media and Banner and Backbone, and we aren't gonna be silent on it. Like we won. Everybody won yesterday. Democracy won yesterday. Today, democracy continues to win as free speech is upheld and used and maintained in DC with a new sustained sit-in movement that they're doing, or the
Right.
launching of the
Although we
Safe
have to watch
DC.
it and
Yeah,
make sure it's sustained and go there when
yeah,
we can and all of that stuff.
yeah, and the
Um,
new efforts of like the safedc.info website with the unmask law enforcement and the support that's going to be going from any merchandise sales based on that towards Feeding America, an organization called Feeding America that actually helps support feeding Americans during this time because we're not just about words, we're about actions and we're about putting that's what all of this is about building community and building actions and building Josh, thanks for putting the link in there in the chat and building a space where people are empowered to do something and want to be a part of it and organize with us um, and that's what larger networks aren't doing yet. Um, and we're trying to encourage them to start doing. We're trying to encourage. I spoke with Evan Fields this morning on our show. He's a contributor on the Lincoln Square Project. We are talking with them about um, seeing how, or I talked with him about how we sometimes rail against his own network and the fact that we think they can be and should be doing more with the funds and the power that they have to spread messages like ours, to spread the smaller networks that are out there. I see David Schuster coming in the chat here with us from Blue Amp Media. Go subscribe to Blue Amp Media. Go subscribe to them. They're a small independent media network that is giving back to other creators. They have their Blue Amp Fund, the creator fund that they do. It's a $500 stipend or a fund that you get. I think it's a one-time $500 or whatever it is for their amount, but they give money to smaller creators so that we can get equipment and get things that we otherwise wouldn't have the support for. That's action. That's actionable content that's helping all of us. Blue Amp Media is doing that, but I don't see other major organizations and independent networks doing that. I see Chorus, which is another one, which is a 501c4 company that's doing stuff.
Right. I
That
had one of the
is,
founders on last year, and they got totally screwed in a Wired article that, if you read, is complete bullshit. So please
yeah.
disregard.
And I absolutely support what they're doing. It's started by Brian Tyler Cohen and some other really good creators, and they're giving back to small creators. But we have like a major network that's not, and that putting out a poll that's saying, hey, should we sue the Trump administration? And yes, I'm talking about Midas Touch. The answer is fucking yes. You should be doing it without us asking. Like, you should be leading the charge because we've already asked for that shit. You already said you were going to help support the legal efforts of stopping democracy because if you or stopping the end of democracy, because if you give fascists an inch, they take your life. That's
Right.
what you said about Trump is if you give him an inch, he takes your life, Ben Meiselas. And you guys are giving him inches by not fucking suing as soon as possible. So stop asking if you should sue and just start fucking doing. Because then
Right.
we'll respect what you're doing again. Or maybe give back to some of us local and small creators. Maybe help us, maybe make some of those creator funds that Blue Amp Media is starting, that Chorus started. Become part of the organization that actually helps build all of us because there's room for a million voices. If you guys actually give back the funds that we are providing you, instead of becoming rich yourself and just living on the riches, fucking help us. Like,
Right.
get us out there because we're reporting in DC on the sustained sit in movement to refuse fascism, and you're not. Why not? You guys have the money to have people out there all the time. If Democrats want to take the message, that's how they do it. Midas Touch, if you want to recuperate the Democratic Party, instead of recuperating the Republican Party, how about y'all recuperate the Democratic Party and make them do what you and we want them to do? Because they'll follow. You guys get them on your shows. Make them use their power for what we want. Stop
Right.
stop being fucking testicles and start doing shit.
I-
Sorry, I
absolutely.
like monologuing on that.
I know you have feelings, and someday you'll tell me what they are about Midas Touch. Um,
And I love them. I love the work they do. I support them still. But I'm just saying, like,
I was
they're
kind of
not
joking.
using their funds and they're not using their power and influence the way they said they would or the way that they promised they would. And that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. The one, I mean, I talk a lot about, the different layers of Substack. You've got the corporate folks who came on over and sucked up a lot of the money, the Jim Acostas and the Don Lemons and the um what's her name?
Oh,
And
the
um well,
the girl,
Katie
the
Fang
one,
and huh?
what's her name? Weiss, Betty
Oh, not
Weiss or
her.
whatever.
No, I'm talking
Not,
about like um Jim Acosta, Don
yeah,
Lemon, Katie Fang, um
Joy Reid and some
Joy
of the other
Reid is
major
the one.
network or
Right.
other folks. Yeah.
And that so there's them. And then there's so they're kind of in a class by themselves. And then there's the contrarians who actually are using the money to fund
Hmm.
lawsuits. Um and and then there's the Lincoln Squares and the Midas Touches and the Aaron Parnases who are really taking off, but haven't maybe clocked the fact that we would be a lot stronger and a lot louder if all of our voices were amplified as opposed to only theirs. Um, and and I think that's what we're trying to do, like me with Freedom Over Fascism, me with Banner and Backbone, and Sick of This Shit, and Melissa, um, and Blue
And
Amp, and
Shane with the Firebrand Project,
Jane
and
with the Firebrand Project, and Centered America, and all of these groups were all trying to lift each other up. And I'm so glad that you guys are all here, because that's what it needs. It needs us talking and you guys in conversation with us. And then we need to like move that from conversation to action. You know, I think, starting this campaign to unmask the feds, which we have to do a better job. Maybe I'll do that next week, when I talk to Melissa, we'll talk a lot about that. Um, we all need to get behind that. Who could be against unmasking these people who are kidnapping people off of the streets? We need to raise our voices together,
mhm.
um, and be strategic about it. So, anyway, I want to just say hi to David Schuster. I'm excited to talk to you too. And I saw Andra in here. Jessica says, remembering the wins come from hard work and organizing. Yes. And some of us are better at talking than at organizing, which means that we just have to link up with the organizers because that's what they do. And we can give them a platform and they can do the, the on the ground stuff. Um, Josh says, okay, he's like chiming in the whole time. Would be helpful for there to be post in chat boilerplates so that we chat denizens can easily follow the good people you're talking about for future. Thank you, my love. That's my husband, in case you guys didn't realize that. He doesn't have his last name up there. So he's right, of course. He's a facilitator by training and he does webinars and stuff all the time. And this is my first Ask Me Anything. You guys have asked me nothing. And I don't have a lot prepared because I want you guys to ask me stuff or tell me stuff that I could respond to. But if that's not going to happen, I can keep talking. I want to let
And
Nick go because he's busy. He just
no,
can't bail me out.
I'll gladly sit and talk with you for a little while longer. I really enjoy getting these times with you. Um, and a wood a woodchuck could chuck all the wood if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Um, the question was asked, how much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? A woodchuck could chuck all the wood if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
And
Um,
Betty Booter has some butter, but she said this butter is bitter. If you add the bitter
um,
butter to the batter, as Betty Booter said, there's something else. I don't know.
but I also, I think this is an opportunity just in general too, for us to be able to point out and find all these local engagements and actually link up with them. And we're starting to do that really effectively, I think, is we're we're starting, at least on a creator side, is we're starting to get a large enough audience in general from our shows where larger networks will actually listen to us, or groups or organizations and organizing groups will actually take us seriously and take our efforts seriously, and the fact that we get information out there and we have hundreds of viewers and thousands of views a day on different things across the country. Like Banner and Backbone's a national network. It's in every state except Wyoming, because Wyoming, you guys are holding out on me, on
You
Banner and
made it to
Backbone.
North Dakota, but no Wyoming?
Yeah, we got North Dakota, but no Wyoming in Banner and Backbone.
Well,
Um,
Freedom Over Fascism has every state, and like 25 countries. I don't know why people in random places around the world watch, but they do.
but they
Um,
do.
yeah.
And it's
And
and it's and we can get information out that's not always present. Like, one of the big things that we've lost a lot of in recent times is local reporting. Um,
mhm.
and we're all focused on national reporting all the time. Um, and there's local reporting that is national news, but sometimes it's just as important to give Melissa Corrigan a platform to report on DC and what's going on there. Like
Right.
people are now taking those next steps, and how do you support them? Is you go to safedc.info, you sign the petition, you join, um, and you wait for to see the merch site come out so we can help the Feeding America organization. But then you take the action items and you do the things with us. Like while they were at the Safe DC rally, they um, or the sit-in, the Refuse Fascism sit-in that's going on in DC right now, one of the speakers had everyone pull out their phones and make a call to their local representative with a script. They gave them the script and they said, everybody's going to do this. You got hundreds of people to do it right then and there. It's
Mhm.
what Shane Urich has been talking about and what we're starting to do is, I'm going to start doing on a lot of my shows is the, um, is just a segment. It's a quick civic segment where I'll do 5 minutes. Here you go. We're going to pull up the script for 5 calls on something, and we're all going to call at once, or we're all going to
Right.
sign this petition. Here's the link. Everybody go in, let's sign, and let's watch the numbers go up as we all start signing. Like we can do those simple things. And that gets everybody engaged, and that's your free entry into all of it is get engaged with us, and then you'll get more engaged, and then you'll start doing it more often, um, and it becomes a habit being pro democracy, and then eventually we can get the party to move, because they're slow, and if they don't want to move, then we move them for it, like we
Which
force.
is the way that it happens a lot of the
Yeah.
times. The grassroots gets there far before the electeds do because the elected still have to deal with, their funders who are risk averse. I mean,
Hmm.
we need to be starting to think in decades. We're still only thinking in terms of the next election cycle. And um, we need to be have our own version. I don't like saying it this way. We need to be thinking in decades. We need groups studying how do you bring a democracy back from
Yeah.
the edge. We need a 50-year event horizon. We need step, and I know there are some groups that like Indivisible has steps, and there I came across another, how do we get out of this moment? But it's not about just this moment. It's also about getting out of this entire um surround. Like
Hmm.
I have believed for a long time that the only way you get out of a moment like this is through war or depression or uprising. Now, Poland managed it. It took like 40 years without a war. Um, but if we want to do it without a war, we're going to have to get our butts moving.
Yeah.
And in blue states and in red states, and you know all the things that I've been talking about for years. You got to run for office in those places where there's no Democrat running for office, or where you are, because people know you. You got to support people running for office. You got to like all the things. We is It's running for office, and it's being an activist, and it's being a platform, and it's talking to our neighbors, and it's supporting local news, and it's buying media, and it's
Mhm.
investing in small media. And so those are all the big action items. And I think Stacy says, action items makes everyone feel good. Yeah, I think that's a good note that we should take, that we do have an action item in every time we talk to people. It's like, okay, oh yeah, Nick's dog agrees. Mine's asleep
All
upstairs. Like
three agree. All three of my dogs
three of them.
agree. And the
Um,
snake. The snake agrees too.
really, the snake agrees.
Oh, yeah. He's pro democracy all the way.
Excellent. Well, it looks
There's
like
no treading on this snake.
that snake needs to go on some piece of merch.
Oh, that'd be fun. I have some good shots of him.
Yeah,
Um,
like we
he can be
like
the new "Don't Tread on Me" flag.
exactly. there's some good stuff out there. Lawrence Winterman, who I talked to yesterday, told me about Alpaca Lunch,
Mm-hmm.
which I went on, and so I think I'm going to try to. I love like designing stuff, so I'm going to put some stuff up there if I can figure out how to partner with them. So that kind of money can go to help feed our neighbors and
Yep.
snack ugh, says Beth. Um,
That's why I don't bring him on to our chronic illness discussions. I know some people don't like the snack. Um, he's very long now. He's longer than my arm. He goes up past my shoulder, almost to my neck, fully stretched out. So he's like 3.5
what
feet long now.
what is he? What kind of
He's a
snack is he?
ball python. So he's a Lucifer het ball python. That's just a uh, genome type he is. He has micro scales, so they're smaller. He's not scaleless, so it doesn't look seamless. Um, but he's got micro scales, so he's really cool. I actually had to help him. Um, I had to help him finish his shed this last time because it didn't come all the way off. Uh, Normally, he has really good sheds, but it didn't come all the way off on parts. And I was like, "Oh, I gotta help my buddy." But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, Lynn says
um,
we can keep your snake off camera. I actually snakes don't bother me at all. Spiders want nothing to do with snakes as long as they're not like poisonous and in my space. We're
mhm.
good.
Yeah, he's beautiful. For those who say gross, I get it. I totally get it. Um, I understand. I never wanted a snake until my wife has always wanted one, and we finally got one. And I love him. He's so fun. He has no emotions. They aren't like dogs or other animals like that have an emotional capacity. They're just instinctual. So he sees us as safe instinctually, but he
Mhm.
doesn't love us or not love us, which is kind of neat. Because I can
Does he
imagine that.
snuggle? It sounds like he snuggles.
Yeah, he wraps himself around your arm or your neck. He actually likes to wrap himself around my neck and tie himself almost into a little bolo and hang
Right.
down. Um, and
Yeah,
they're
Beth, I think pythons do squeeze.
They do, but not these ones not a lot. They're very docile. Um, they're actually their royal snake was their original usage was for royalty. Is the more in it was a I forget where in Africa exactly they came from originally, but for the culture, it was the more snakes you had that would wrap themselves around you for ball pythons, the more royal you were, the more like regal you were, because they sit and they'll loop themselves like a um, bracelet, and they'll do like multiples of them will loop themselves on you because they don't care about each other. Um, and so it was seen as a symbol of power. It's kind of cool.
It is
Um,
kind of cool. It's like a big flex to
Yeah.
have
How
a
many
whole bunch of
snakes can I
snakes.
have wrap around me? Um, and it gave us a chance to make a really cool enclosure. We made like a Lord of the Rings themed enclosure for him with spray foam and foam boards. And um,
What a cool project.
yeah, it was really fun.
It
It
is.
was really
It's
fun. We did arts and crafts with the family. It was like painting minis again for D&D, but for a snake. um,
Well, I missed the D&D situation, but Josh, who has now gone, did not, and my son did not miss it either. So Beth is neck love. Um, I think the animals that used to be royal have a little bit of something special. We have um, a Cavachon, so that's half Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. So it was the dogs in the Spanish court, and her capacity for just sweetness is like unrivaled. She looks like a little human behind those big eyes. I
mhm.
don't have her here, or else I'd show you. But um, anyway, we've gotten off track. Um, Come on,
Well,
guys. There's 110 of you.
I'm gonna have to drop. Unfortunately, my
Yeah,
dog
go for it.
rolled in something
Oh
that
no.
I need to go clean off my poor buddy. Um,
Oh, poor
he's
guy.
he's
Okay.
a little gross looking right now. No, right,
Mhm.
Kilo. Yeah, you're a good boy.
Yeah. All
Um,
right. I'll see you later.
all right. Thanks, Steph. Thanks,
Right.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Well, I think okay. So Nick just totally bailed us out right there. Um, Lynn, I do not agree with you about spiders. I'm very sad to say. But you don't agree with me about snakes. So, you know, that's what that makes us all different. Really, no one's got anything to say? Because I can keep going. I think I'm going to try to. I don't know if you guys have paid attention to Courier Media. They are an independent media station that does a lot of um, kind of TikTok length um, uh, content in order to reach non-voters, basically, with what is going on in a way that they can actually hear and absorb and act on. And I'm sure the massive numbers of young people who came out to vote this time, got a lot of their information off of TikTok. Maybe some of them are making their way over here to Substack. But knowing how to y- talk to the kids, I think is really important. In fact, my kid who despises politics, because who wouldn't right now, we're kind of all masochists in a little bit. This morning he said, okay, who won? By how much? Okay, and what's going on? And what's the shutdown? And why is it happening? And what do the Democrats want? Um, so he's getting there. As a historian, Beth asks, where do I believe we went wrong in our country before the orange shit came in? I think went wrong from the very beginning by allowing slavery to continue to be a massive part of the economy by supporting an oligarchy in the South. They outlawed it, fairly. They had it in Massachusetts and the rest of the North, and then they outlawed it. And I think the fact that um, made for a permanent underclass um, is one of is where we went very wrong at the very beginning. And then during this Civil War, we did not hold greed and racism, America's original sins. Yes, you're right. Um, we didn't hold the Southern secessionists accountable. We kind of let them all. The union let them all go without paying a price. And you should all read Heather Cox Richardson's "How the South Won the Civil War," because between that and the fact that Reconstruction was halted, um, and the people who were emancipated without any support. Um, so they went from being slaves to being destitute, not actually being owned by humans, but having to go back to their owners and essentially become indentured servants. Um, I think all of that kind of blends together over the years between, the founding with all of those founders who were enslavers and the compromises needed to get the Constitution, destitute sharecroppers, yeah, to get the Constitution passed, the Three-Fifths Compromise, that was uh, a really big problem and sort of results in the electoral college today and the lack of proportional representation anywhere in the federal government. It all rolls up together. It kind of snowballs into where we see ourselves now. And I think the founders, it's not like they were surrounded by people of good faith. There were lots of horrible people and charlatans then. And so they knew that was going to keep happening. Um, and and the way they set up the system is, I think, interestingly, they thought people would protect their own power, but I don't think they counted on the greed and the money that infuse our politics quite as much as is the case today. I would, if, I've been asking people okay, let me ask you all this. This is my question to you. I've been asking all of my guests what the most radically creative idea um, they have for when we start to build this country back. And I'll tell you some of the ones that some recent guests have come up with, and then I want in the chat for you guys to tell me what you think. So, my first guest that I asked this said we should nationalize all the oil companies, we should pay restitution for slavery, and we should have national um, uh, the need for national service, um, free healthcare. Yeah, we also got you know, free healthcare, actually representative government, and the unicameral legislature. We got not letting super religious fundamentalists have power. We got um, we got a whole bunch of different ideas. I want to hear Kat, vote by social security number. If you pay taxes, you're registered to vote automatically. Yes. Not only that, if you're if you pay taxes, the government already knows what you've paid. Like, filling out this tax shit every year is ridiculous. Publicly funded elections. I so totally believe that. I think every election at every level needs to be publicly funded. A limit should be placed. Like, people should get, enough to run a race at whatever level they're at. And then no more money allowed, not even personal money, so that so everyone's kind of on an equal basis money wise. So you don't have the rich disproportionately in power. Abolish the electoral college, absolutely. Um, and there are so many good ideas. Especially the ones, if you guys can think about like the ones that, I mean, they're the ones that we all think, right? Abolish the electoral college, increase the um, the House of Representatives, reparations for Black Americans, long overdue, national health care, term limits, donation over oversight, and not pull yourself up by the bootstraps rhetoric. Yes, not expecting us to solve systemic problems individually. Cat, Supreme Court reform. Holy shit, we need more of those guys. Well, we need different of those guys, I would think, and a lot more of them. Like, some countries have free mental health therapy. Absolutely. Um, no, I know you're serious, Beth. Um, a lot of countries have a big like the district courts have these en banc big panels of judges that they that sit on different cases in different combinations of people, rarely at the same time. So you have a whole bunch of people um, in the Supreme Court, or you just have the number of justices equal the number of districts. Term limits on the Supreme Court. Yes, let's not have them die in office. Um, and oh, and the other thing is, like, I don't get this. It's never happened. A Supreme Court poll. That's exactly what I was talking about. Um, Voting for judges does not make any sense to me. I mean, that seems like, why would you politicize? I mean, it's all political anyway, but why would you politicize the people who are going to sit in judgment over what the law is saying? Why should that be a political um, exercise? I don't understand that. But at any rate, they re- they did a good job in Pennsylvania. Gender autonomy. How would I phrase this? As in women having total control over what happens to their own bodies. Not only women, right? Um, transgender, non-binary people. Everybody needs to have control over what happens with their own body, even about when it's time to leave the world instead of being held in indefinite torture. Washington, D.C. should have Senate representatives. Absolutely. We should make Puerto Rico and D.C. and the Virgin Islands and Guam and Samoa all states. Locally for justices. Um, Other thoughts? I think we should have a parliamentary system with one. I don't think the Senate really does any good, and I would get rid of Senate. Off topic, Cheryl says, "Is that a mushroom or a dog sculpture on the shelf behind you?" It is neither. It is it's a lion. I think my mother-in-law bought it in Africa, and it's beaded. So it's like constructed of little itty bitty beads, and it's got a beard and a thing. Yeah, it kind of looks like it could be a horse, but it's a lion. A horse. All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap this up because I would love final comments from you guys. I am gonna be on Blue Amp. They told me to get on at 2:10, but I want to have a minute to catch my breath. Um, Kat, you thought it was something else. I couldn't see its wings, but I'm blind. No, no, there's no wings. Um, what would I do about voting for local judges? I would. I don't think voting for judges makes any sense at all. A wasp with no wings. I see. Well, thank you for being here. I comments like let's have some final comments, guys, and then if you're interested, I'll do this more. If it was a total flop, it wasn't a total flop, but if this seemed like it didn't really do much for you, I'll continue to have guests so I can um, talk to them and challenge them, and maybe even have see if I can get elected officials who we want more action out of. Yes, so please get the thank you. More, please. All right. Um, oh, you learned about me through Waj? Really? I would love to have Waj on. So, um, I'm working on that. Um, so go to safeDC.info. Let's start a campaign to get rid of the masks on these agents or just mercenaries or bad guys who are taking people off the streets. Um, Follow me, Banner and Backbone, Sick of This Shit, Beth Cruz, Kat, Melissa Corrigan, The Firebrand, Centered America, and all of the smaller creators who are working our hearts out for you and with not I mean, we don't make any money out of it. And so if you'd be willing to be paid subscribers, if you've got the means, all of us, I'm sure, would appreciate it. Um, so Zoran's speech was amazing last night. And as music, I didn't catch the speech, but Pat says, please more. I didn't catch the speech. I really need to see the speech. Um, let's promote and support intelligent men and women on Substack, speaking truth of power. Amen. Thank you, Kat. Thank you all for being here. The speech got all the feels. Okay, I have like 10 minutes to see that and have a comment on it. So I better get on that. Thank you all for being here and have a great day. And please subscribe if you aren't and share if you haven't. Um, and if you want to suggest to me who else you'd like to see me talk to, there's pretty much I don't I don't try to do fluff interviews. I really try to understand what's going on with people and challenge them when necessary. So maybe we can get some people on who need a little bit of a challenge. Oh, Allison Gill, if you can get me, I would love to have that Allison Gill on here. Oh my God, if anyone knows her, please put me in touch with her. Um, thank you. Oh, Danielle Moody, yeah. Um, I think Lawrence has had her on. Um, and I know Martin Weems knows her, so I will try to get her. Thank you all so much. I am going to say goodbye. I am just I'm my heart, which this is my phone, so hearts won't actually come out of my hands. But my heart thanks you guys for being here. All right, talk to you later.